Tensions in West Asia continue to persist despite ongoing diplomatic negotiations. In the latest escalation, the United States targeted missile launch sites and mine-laying vessels in southern Iran in what it described as self-defense strikes. The strikes came as top Iranian negotiators arrived in Qatar's capital, Doha, for the latest round of talks to end the months-long conflict. The strikes threaten an already fragile ceasefire that began on April 8th. The strikes also come as the United States and Iran struggle to reach an accord to end the war. As the security situation continues to evolve, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei says that the U.S. is losing its influence in West Asia, and he has warned the countries in the region to not host U.S. bases. In a written statement, Iran's Supreme Leader said the hands of time will not turn backward, and the nations and lands of the region will no longer serve as shields for American bases. The statement added that Washington will no longer have any safe point in the region for aggression, establishment of military bases as well. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard says that they have downed a U.S. MQ-9 drone which had entered the country's airspace. They have not specified when the incident took place, however. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has hailed the Iranian military response against U.S. strikes. Take a listen.
They did not imagine that our armed forces, our defensive power and our offensive system could perform such feats. It was a completely surprising matter for all of them.
Iran did not immediately confirm the reported strikes, but the country's state media reported that explosions were heard in Bandar Abbas, near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Mehr news agency said that the situation in the city was now under control and that there was no cause for concern. China has also urged both sides to respect the ongoing truce and resolve the dispute peacefully.
We urge the parties concerned to fulfill their ceasefire commitments, resolve disputes through peaceful means, continue to work toward a solution that takes into account the legitimate concerns of all parties through dialogue and negotiation, and promote the early restoration of peace in the Middle East and Gulf region.
Reacting to the U.S. military strikes on Iran, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open, and he asserted that the U.S. would ensure its reopening one way or another. Rubio also expressed optimism about reaching an agreement with Iran.
And it's going to take a couple days to settle on, even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence. So we'll have to work through that. If there's going to be a deal, we're going to have to work through that. But this is, it's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one.
As peace deal talks remain underway, Trump has demanded a resolution to the issue of enriched uranium inside Iran, which has been a key sticking point. President Trump, on his Truth Social network, said that he expected Iran to hand over its enriched uranium to the United States to be destroyed or have it destroyed in Iran with an international witness. All right, joining us live on the broadcast is Professor James A. Russell. He's a security analyst and is joining us from Washington, D.C. Professor, thank you so much for joining us on WION. What do you make of everything that has happened in the last 24 hours?
I think this is very regrettably, to make a golf metaphor, par for the course on the part of the United States. This is now the third time that, as negotiators have been negotiating, the United States has resorted to military force, which of course raises questions about the American commitment to actually seeking a peaceful end to the conflict. A pattern that has firmly established itself in the U.S.-Iranian interaction is that whenever the United States mounts military operations and attacks, the Iranians respond in kind. So the United States has opened the door, of course, to another further round of escalation, all at a time supposedly when Trump administration officials have been telling us that a peace agreement is imminent. And I should just, as a footnote to this, President Trump has been asserting that there has been a peace agreement imminent virtually since the war started. He referred to it at the outset as a quote unquote excursion that was going to be finished soon. So this simply fits in with the pattern of America's behavior, all of which suggests that the United States is not actually interested in ending the war. And furthermore, an actor that has no credibility as a negotiating partner from the perspective of the Iranian side.
So, do you believe that a negotiated settlement to this conflict is less likely, and war may possibly resume?
We should be clear that there is no ceasefire in place. When the Trump administration declared the existence of a blockade, the blockade is an act of war. So just because we weren't directly shooting at one another didn't mean that a state of hostilities doesn't exist. A state of hostilities continues to exist with the blockade. And of course, the Israelis keep annexing southern Lebanon and attacking civilians in Lebanon. They have absolutely no intention of abiding by any ceasefire. So the reality of the situation is that the war has continued, and the United States, as I say, has simply launched a new round of strikes that the Iranians are extremely likely to respond to. And this simply points to a broader problem faced, I think, principally by the United States, which is that there's no military solution that delivers the United States political objectives, which it sort of articulated at the beginning of the war. So here we sit again in an endless series of, I should say, a potential endless series of military strikes, which leads to the achievement of no objectives by the United States. It's the United States continuing to just spin aimlessly in the hope that military operations will deliver strategic success, which they will not.
Professor, thank you so much for joining us on WION. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.